Hello again.
Yeah, hello. Glad to see you again.
Don't know. I think everything is okay with my video. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
with the rejoined. So. Mm.
So meanwhile, we prepare our lecture in this.
So I want to join with my like cell phone as well. If there will be something with like a laptop, yeah.
Uh-huh,
Yeah,
sure, sure.
sometimes I do it.
Yeah.
Since
Okay, sure. Meanwhile, we'll prepare in this room.
That's why I have sent you my presentation in case.
Okay, okay.
So because sometimes if there are troubles, I continue with my phone. So and
It's okay,
nothing
it's
that
okay. Yeah,
interrupts. Yeah.
yeah. Feel free. In this room, there is our moderator today, Raden Haryani Susanti.
Hello,
Okay.
doctor. Nice to meet you.
Hello.
Hello. This is our first time meeting, and I'm so honored to moderate this guest lecture. So, thank you.
Hello, Mrs. Yani.
Hello, Pak Martius.
Okay.
Good morning.
Morning.
Pak Matius disapa sama Miss Zam Zagul.
Anda dengar suara? Panggilannya
Ya,
apa? Panggilannya apa?
Apa ya, dokter?
Kaskin Baiva.
how we can call you Miss Zamzagul? Miss Kaskin Bayeva or Zamzagul?
Zamzagul.
Okay.
That's good for me. So
Zamzagul.
Zamzagul.
Oh, iya.
both are
Zamzagul.
long. The surname, patronymic name, and the name, first name, they're very long, and usually foreigners had trouble with pronouncing it.
Okay.
Selamat datang Bu Dekan.
Ya, Assalamualaikum Bapak Ibu, Pak Prodi, Sekretaris Prodi, Bu Moderator.
Waalaikumsalam.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Welcome.
Izin, Muna, udah siap?
Siap Pak, langsung kita mulai saja Pak?
Pak Kajur?
Oke, boleh.
Oke.
Please.
Oke, baik. Izin Bapak Ibu semuanya. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
warahmatullahi
Selamat pagi semuanya. Yang saya hormati yaitu Profesor Dr. Amirah Diniati, MPD Cons, Dean of the Faculty of Islamic Education and Teacher Training. The Honorable Dr. Martius M. Hum, Head of the Indonesian Language Education Department, the Honorable Mrs. Rizky Erdayani, SPD, MA, Lecturer in Socio-Linguistic and Chair of the Committee, the Honorable Mrs. R. Haryani Susanti M. Hum, Moderator of this event, and the Honorable Mrs. Kaskin Bayeva Zamzagul Zanaidarovna, PhD, a sociolinguistic lecturer from Zhezkazgan University, Kazakhstan. We are truly honored to warmly welcome you to our event today. It is a great pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Syukur alhamdulillah kita haturkan kepada Allah Subhanahu wa taala. Shalawat besertakan salam. Tak lupa pula kita hadiahkan kepada Nabi besar kita, yakni Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam dengan melafazkan Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Atas rahmat dan juga karunia Allah Subhanahu wa taala, kita dapat berkumpul secara virtual dalam acara kuliah tamu semester genap membahas isu-isu kebahasaan dalam masyarakat multikultural dari perspektif sosiolinguistik dan psikolinguistik. Pergi ke taman memetik melati, harumnya semerbak menenangkan jiwa. Mari bersama kita ikuti kajian bahasa penuh wawasan dan ilmu berharga. Pantun is part of Indonesian literary heritage with a unique structure and cultural value, often used in formal communication. Hadirin yang berbahagia, acara selanjutnya yaitu menyanyikan Mars Uwin Suskaryau yang akan dipandu oleh moderator. Kepada seluruh peserta diharapkan untuk mengaktifkan kamera. Baik, selanjutnya mari kita simak bersama laporan kegiatan yang akan disampaikan oleh Ketua Pelaksana sekaligus dosen pengampu mata kuliah Sosiolinguistik, Ibu Rizky Erdayani, SPD MA. Kepada beliau kami persilahkan.
Baik, terima kasih Muna. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi rasulillahi ajma'in. Yang terhormat Dekan Fakultas Tarbiyah dan Keguruan Universitas Islam Negeri Sultan Syarif Kasim Riau, Profesor Dr. Amirah Diniati MPD Cons, and distinguished Dr. Kaskin Bayeva Zamzagul Zanaidarovna, our esteemed guest lecturer from Kazakhstan for today's visiting lecture. Yang saya hormati Ketua Program Studi Pendidikan Bahasa Indonesia Universitas Islam Negeri Sultan Syarif Kasim Riau, Dr. Martius M. Hum. Yang saya hormati Sekretaris Program Studi Pendidikan Bahasa Indonesia Universitas Islam Negeri Sultan Syarif Kasim Riau, Dr. Afdal Kusuma Negara MPD. Yang saya hormati Bapak Ibu dosen, rekan sejawat di Program Studi Pendidikan Bahasa Indonesia Universitas Islam Negeri Sultan Syarif Kasim Riau, serta teman-teman mahasiswa yang saya banggakan. Baik, pertama-tama marilah kita panjatkan puji dan syukur kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, karena atas rahmat dan karunia-Nya kita dapat berkumpul pada hari ini dalam keadaan sehat secara daring untuk mengikuti kegiatan visiting lecture dengan tema yang sangat menarik, yaitu Language Issues in Multicultural Societies. Dan hari ini kita akan membahas permasalahan mengenai alih kode dan campur kode pada remaja. Pada kesempatan ini, izinkan saya selaku Ketua Panitia, sekaligus dosen pengampu mata kuliah Sosiolinguistik untuk mengucapkan ucapan terima kasih yang sebesar-besarnya kepada seluruh pihak yang telah mendukung terselenggaranya kegiatan ini. Terima kasih kami sampaikan kepada Ibu Dekan yang telah memberikan izin dan dukungan sehingga kegiatan ini dapat dilaksanakan. Kemudian ucapan terima kasih juga saya sampaikan kepada rekan-rekan sejawat Bapak Ibu dosen di Program Studi Pendidikan Bahasa Indonesia yang telah membantu dalam proses persiapan, baik secara teknis maupun non-teknis. Kemudian tidak lupa apresiasi yang sebesar-besarnya saya sampaikan kepada teman-teman mahasiswa yang telah ikut bekerja membantu dan mempersiapkan berbagai hal sehingga kegiatan pada hari ini dapat terselenggarakan dengan baik. And then on this special occasion, allow me on behalf of the organizing committee to extend our deepest respect and sincere appreciation to Dr. Kaskin Bayeva Zamzago Zanaidarovna for graciously joining us today. We are truly honored to welcome you as our distinguished guest lecturer from Kazakhstan. Your presence provides a valuable academic opportunity for all of us, particularly for our students who are currently studying sociolinguistics in this semester. Through this event, we hope to enrich not only our theoretical understanding, but also our broader insight into how linguistic phenomena can be examined from diverse and cross-cultural perspective. Bapak, Ibu, dan teman-teman mahasiswa yang saya hormati, topik yang akan kita diskusikan hari ini yaitu tentang alih kode dan campur kode. Dan mungkin bagi sebagian orang, topik ini terdengar sudah sangat sering dibahas, bahkan dalam konteks penelitian mahasiswa, topik ini kadang dianggap sebagai topik yang kuno, ya. Terkadang beberapa mahasiswa kita mengajukan topik penelitian ini dan itu kita tolak. Karena telah berulang kali diajukan sebagai pisau bedah analisis dalam berbagai penelitian kebahasaan. Namun sebenarnya anggapan tersebut perlu kita luruskan kembali dan kita lihat secara lebih kritis. Karena yang perlu kita sadari di sini adalah sosiolinguistik, sebuah kajian bahasa dalam ruang lingkup sosial. Objek kajiannya itu adalah bahasa yang digunakan oleh masyarakat dalam kehidupan sehari-hari. Dan objek kajian bahasa dalam lingkungan masyarakat itu sebetulnya tidak pernah benar-benar berhenti bergerak. Fenomena kebahasaan yang digunakan oleh masyarakat itu akan selalu berkembang, kemudian berubah, dan menyesuaikan diri dengan konteks sosial yang ada. Apalagi yang akan kita bahas hari ini itu adalah penggunaan bahasa di kalangan remaja. Sebagaimana yang kita ketahui, sesuai dengan definisi dari WHO, remaja itu kan adalah sekelompok orang yang berada pada rentang usia 10 hingga 19 tahun. Ya. Nah, ini merupakan masa transisi dari anak-anak menuju dewasa. Yang kita ketahui, masa transisi ini adalah masa-masa di mana orang-orang itu memiliki sifat yang sangat dinamis secara sosial, psikologis, dan juga kebahasaan. Bagaimana cara mereka berkomunikasi, itu akan terus berubah seiring dengan perkembangan zaman, kecanggihan teknologi, media sosial yang mereka gunakan, budaya populer yang mereka masuki, serta berbagai pengaruh global yang lain. Bahasa yang digunakan remaja pada masa ini itu sangat jauh berbeda dengan bahasa yang digunakan oleh remaja pada beberapa tahun silam seperti itu. Sebagaimana yang kita ketahui juga itu kan ada gap atau pembatas ya, ada generasi baby boomer, ada Gen X, milenial, Gen Z, kemudian sekarang yang baru lahir dan yang masih anak-anak itu adalah generasi alpha dan beta. Kalau kita lihat batas-batas generasi itu tidak hanya dibatasi oleh rentang tahun mereka lahir, tetapi juga ada penanda yang cukup menjadi ciri khas, salah satunya adalah bahasa. Kalau dulu mungkin saya, Bu Yani, Pak Afdal gitu ya, mengatakan orang-orang yang mengikuti perkembangan zaman, yang berkomunikasi sesuai dengan perkembangan zaman pada saat itu kita istilahkan dengan anak gaul. Kalau Gen Z sekarang mengatakannya dengan istilah culture. Melihat adanya perbedaan istilah yang digunakan artinya ada pergerakan bahasa dari masa ke masa. Nah, sebetulnya inilah yang perlu kita perhatikan. Eh, Pilihan bahasa, gaya tutur, dan segala sesuatunya itu menyesuaikan tempat dan zaman. Jadi disinilah pentingnya kita semua, orang-orang yang mengkaji di bidang kebahasaan, terutama mahasiswa dari program studi pendidikan bahasa, harusnya memiliki kemampuan untuk melihat gap dan menentukan novelty dalam penelitian. Topik yang sudah lama tidak berarti itu selalu usang. Seringkali topik yang sederhana itu memiliki dan menyimpan ruang kajian yang sangat besar. Seperti itu. Nah, harusnya kita mampu melihat hal-hal tersebut dari sudut pandang yang baru, dengan objek yang relevan, data yang aktual, kemudian dibantu dengan pertanyaan penelitian yang kritis dan cukup tajam. Nah, oleh karena itu, melalui kegiatan visiting lecture hari ini, saya harap kita semua, khususnya teman-teman mahasiswa, itu dapat memperoleh perspektif baru mengenai kajian alih kode dan campur kode. Saya juga berharap kegiatan ini dapat menjadi ruang diskusi yang terbuka, santai, namun tetap ilmiah. Nah, silakan nanti teman-teman mahasiswa memanfaatkan kesempatan ini dengan sebaik-baiknya. Jangan ragu untuk bertanya, berdiskusi, dan juga menyampaikan pendapat. Kehadiran narasumber kita hari ini adalah kesempatan yang sangat baik untuk memperluas cara kita memahami bagaimana bahasa itu merupakan bagian dari kehidupan sosial. Akhir kata, saya menyampaikan terima kasih sekali lagi kepada seluruh pihak yang telah mendukung kegiatan ini. Semoga kegiatan visiting lecture hari ini dapat berjalan dengan lancar. Selamat berdiskusi. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Ibu atas laporan yang telah disampaikan. Semoga kegiatan hari ini berjalan dengan lancar hingga akhir. Amin. Amin ya rabbal alamin. Selanjutnya, yaitu sambutan dari Ketua Program Studi Pendidikan Bahasa Indonesia, Bapak Dr. Martius M. Hum. Kepada beliau kami persilahkan.
Baik, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yang sama-sama kita hormati Dekan Fakultas Tarbiyah dan Keguruan Unsus Karyau, yang kita muliakan Sekretaris Prodi Pendidikan Bahasa Indonesia, Fakultas Tarbiyah dan Keguruan Unsus Karyau, yang kita muliakan para dosen Prodi Pendidikan Bahasa Indonesia yang sudah bergabung pada kegiatan hari ini. Selanjutnya yang kita banggakan, para mahasiswa semester 4 pada program studi Pendidikan Bahasa Indonesia Fakultas Tarbiyah dan Keguruan Unsus Karyau. Especially, we honor our guest lecturer, Mrs. Kaskin Baifa Zamzagu Zanaidarovna, PhD, from Zhezkazgan University, Kazakhstan. Good morning, Mrs. Zamzagu.
Good morning.
Okay, thank you for your willingness. Pertama sekali, marilah kita mengucapkan rasa syukur kita kepada Tuhan Yang Maha Esa. Tentunya bukan hanya sekedar ucapan syukur, tetapi memang ucapan itu perlu kita realisasikan dalam kehidupan kita sehari-hari. Kemudian selawat berserta salam kita sampaikan pula kepada Nabi besar kita Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, dengan mengucapkan Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Mudah-mudahan dengan selalunya kita berselawat, kita akan mendapatkan syafaatnya di yaumil kiamah ataupun di padang mahsyar nanti. Amin, amin ya rabbal alamin. Bapak Ibu yang saya muliakan serta mahasiswa-mahasiswa yang kami banggakan, kuliah dosen tamu merupakan program rutin kita setiap semester. Karena melalui dosen tamu ini, kita atau mahasiswa kita akan mendapatkan hal yang baru yang akan membawa prodi kita akan lebih maju dan lebih gemilang lagi ke depannya. Selanjutnya, melalui program dosen tamu ini, mungkin akan menimbulkan gairah baru bagi mahasiswa kita dalam belajar, karena ada variasi baru dalam pembelajaran. Di samping itu juga, program dosen tamu ini sangat perlu kita laksanakan, karena kegiatan ini memang merupakan bagian atau salah satu aspek yang dinilai dalam akreditasi program studi. Dosen tamu kali ini sengaja kita undang dari Kazakhstan melalui narahubung kita Dr. Abdal Kusumanegara yang sudah malang melintang sehubungan dengan Kazakhstan ini. Terima kasih kepada Dr. Adal yang sudah menjadi motor pada kegiatan ini. Termasuk juga terima kasih kita tentunya kepada Ketua Panitia, Ibu Rizky, dan beberapa anggotanya. Mengapa kita mengundang dosen tamu dari luar negeri? Hal ini karena memang program rektor dan program dekan Fakultas Tarbiyah bahwa dosen tamu untuk saat ini harus bertaraf internasional. Karena ada wacana dekan kita dan rektor kita bahwa beberapa program studi Fakultas Tarbiyah ke depan nantinya harus terakreditasi internasional. Oleh sebab itu, maka kita mencoba untuk mengundang dosen tamu kita dari luar negeri. Bapak Ibu yang kami muliakan dan para mahasiswa yang kami banggakan, mata kuliah yang menjadi materi kuliah umum kita kali ini adalah mata kuliah sosiolinguistik sebagaimana yang disampaikan oleh Ketua Panitia tadi. Sosiolinguistik merupakan bagian kajian linguistik yang termasuk kajian interdisipliner yang selalu hidup dan berkembang, serta selalu menarik untuk dikaji. Mata kuliah ini disajikan untuk mahasiswa semester 4. Jadi pesertanya adalah seluruh mahasiswa semester 4. Untuk itu, kami mengharapkan kepada seluruh mahasiswa agar kegiatan ini dapat diikuti dengan semaksimal mungkin. Apa yang disampaikan oleh lecture kita pada pagi ini dihayati, didengar dengan semaksimalnya, dengan saksama, dan kalau perlu direkam. Ya, sehingga nantinya materi yang disampaikan ini dapat kita ulang dan kita dengarkan serta kita tonton di rumah kembali untuk lebih memperdalam pemahaman kita. Tentunya kita yakin juga bahwa tidak semua kita dapat menangkap materi ini dengan baik tentunya karena dia memang menggunakan bahasa Inggris ya. Barangkali hanya itu yang dapat saya sampaikan dan terima kasih kepada semua pihak. Kemudian kita minta nantinya kepada Bu Dekan Fakultas Tarbiyah untuk membuka kegiatan ini dengan resmi. Akhir kalam, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Baik, kami ucapkan terima kasih atas arahannya dan juga inspirasi dari Bapak Matius selaku Ketua Program Studi Pendidikan Bahasa Indonesia Baik, hadirin yang berbahagia, selanjutnya sambutan sekaligus pembukaan kegiatan oleh Ibu Profesor Dr. Amirah Diniati MPD Kons selaku Dekan Fakultas Tarbiyah dan Keguruan. Kepada Ibu kami persilahkan.
Baik, terima kasih MC. Suara saya sudah bisa didengar?
Bisa Ibu.
Halo? Oke,
Ya,
baik.
Bu, terdengar.
Baik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajmain. Puji dan syukur kepada Allah, salawat dan salam pada Rasulullah dengan ucapan Allahumma shalli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Rabbi israhli sadri wa yassirli amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. The Honorable, our special speaker from Kazakhstan, Mrs. Zamzagul Khazanarovna, PhD. It's a very nice name, yeah. And the Honorable, our head of Department Education of Bahasa Indonesia with Secretary Bapak Dr. Martius dan Bapak Dr. Afdal. Kemudian yang kita banggakan para dosen, Ketua Panitia tadi ada Bu Rizky Ardayani, kemudian juga mahasiswa yang hadir, dan moderator ada Ibu Haryani Susanti ya, yang sekarang sedang melanjutkan studi di Inggris ya. Alhamdulillah pada hari ini Prodi Bahasa Indonesia, Pendidikan Bahasa Indonesia mengundang dosen tamu ya untuk mata kuliah sosiolinguistik bagi mahasiswa semester 4 dan kami sangat bangga dan mengapresiasi upaya yang dilakukan sebagaimana dijelaskan oleh Ketua Panitia dan Ketua Program Studi tadi ya. Kita memang sedang melakukan program internasionalisasi kampus dan upaya yang dilakukan Prodi Bahasa Pendidikan Bahasa Indonesia ini menjadi satu bukti bahwa Prodi ini memang layak unggul sebagaimana akreditasi yang sudah diraih. Alhamdulillah, tentu saja ini juga sekaligus mempersiapkan diri dalam rangka akreditasi internasional. Dan isu yang diangkat atau yang akan dibahas tentang isu-isu kebahasaan dalam masyarakat multikultural, perspektif sosiolinguistik dan psikoanalis psikolinguistik. Memang ini kata Bu Rizky tadi sesuatu yang sudah biasa, tetapi bagi saya dan bagi kita semua dengan adanya globalisasi ya, penggunaan teknologi di berbagai bidang kehidupan, maka bahasa menjadi tools, alat yang paling penting untuk dikuasai oleh setiap orang yang akan berinteraksi. Bahasa adalah identitas dan kepribadian ya. Bahasa adalah alat komunikasi dan berinteraksi, dan dengan bahasa juga menjadi pemersatu bangsa. Maka mahasiswa sebagaimana yang diharapkan oleh Kaprodi tadi yang semester 4 ini, walaupun nanti pembicara kita akan menjelaskan dalam versi bahasa Inggris, tapi saya yakin moderator nanti akan bisa memberi translate ya yang bisa dipahami. Jadi ikuti, ini memang harusnya menjadi satu kesempatan emas bagi mahasiswa untuk menggali di Kazakhstan seperti apa ya bahasanya ya, sehingga peluang ke depan karena Pak Dr. Afdal sudah ke sana, tidak menutup kemungkinan mahasiswa S1 Bahasa Indonesia akan menyusul ya, mengikuti program-program students exchange atau student mobility untuk kita lanjutkan sebagai bentuk dari implementasi kerjasama kita dengan Kazakhstan. Dan kami sekali lagi mengucapkan terima kasih. Thank you so much for Dr. Zamzagul, because you give a chance for our Department Bahasa Indonesia to meet with you and all our students. And of course, this is a very interesting thing for us And maybe this is not the first, maybe we can meet with another program, maybe kolaborasi for research and another program. Baik Bapak dan Ibu dan anak-anak kami semua, ke pasar beli kain sutra, beli juga sebotol tinta. Bahasa Indonesia, bahasa negara, bahasa pemersatu kita semua. Walaupun kita belajar dari perspektif luar, tetap cintai bahasa Indonesia. Mari sama-sama kita buka acara ini dengan membacakan basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sukses untuk kegiatan dosen tamunya. Saya kira begitu. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Baik, terima kasih kami ucapkan kepada Ibu Dekan atas sambutannya yang sangat hangat. Dengan demikian, kegiatan kuliah dosen tamu semester genap resmi dibuka. Terbit mentari di ufuk timur, sinarnya indah penuh cahaya. Kuliah dosen tamu kita mulai dengan tutur, semoga membawa ilmu dan bahagia. Hadirin sekalian, kini tibalah kita pada acara inti, yaitu pemaparan materi oleh narasumber luar biasa, Mrs. Kaskinbayeva Zamzagul Zanaidarovna PhD, yang mana merupakan dosen sosiolinguistik dari Zhezkazgan University di Kazakhstan, yang mana acara ini akan dipandu oleh moderator kita, Ibu R. Haryani Susanti M.Hum. Kepada Ibu, kami persilahkan untuk memimpin jalannya sesi kuliah dosen tamu kali ini.
Baik, terima kasih kepada MC yang luar biasa di hari ini. Saya buka. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Selamat siang, selamat datang, selamat berjumpa lagi di ruang virtual ini. Good afternoon, welcome, and good to see you all again in this virtual room. Pernah nggak sih kalian merasa bahwa bahasa itu seperti pakaian? Kadang kita pakai yang formal, kadang yang santai, kadang campur-campur. Tergantung situasi, tergantung lawan bicara. Nah, kurang lebih itulah yang akan kita diskusikan hari ini. Nah, saya translate ya. Have you ever felt that language is like clothes? Sometimes formal, sometimes casual, sometimes mixed. It depends on the situation and who we are talking to. Well, that's roughly what we're going to talk about today. I am Raden Haryani Susanti, your moderator for this session. Sebelum kita mulai, mari kita haturkan puji syukur kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala atas segala nikmat yang diberikan. Before we begin, let us give thanks to God Almighty for all His blessings. Kepada yang kami hormati, Ibu Profesor Dr. Amirah Diniati MPD Cons, Dekan Fakultas Tarbiyah dan Keguruan UIN Suskaryau. Dan yang kami hormati juga Bapak Dr. Martius M. Hum, Ketua Prodi Pendidikan Bahasa Indonesia, beserta Bapak Dr. Afdal Kusuma Negara MPD, Sekretaris Prodi Pendidikan Bahasa Indonesia. Lalu juga yang kita hormati Ibu Rizky Erdayani SPD MA, Ketua Pelaksana sekaligus dosen pengampu mata kuliah Sosiolinguistik, dan juga Bapak dan Ibu dosen serta seluruh mahasiswa, khususnya peserta mata kuliah Sosiolinguistik. We are honored to have with us today the Dean of the Faculty of Tarbiyah and Teacher Training, the Head and Secretary of our department, our distinguished lecturers, and all students, especially those taking the Sociolinguistic course. Kegiatan utama kita hari ini adalah kuliah tamu bersama seorang ahli dari Kazakhstan. Ya, our main session today is a guest lecture with an expert from Kazakhstan. With great respect, we introduce to you Dr. Kaskinbayeva Zamzagul Janaidarovna. Beliau adalah Associate Professor dan Kepala Departemen Pedagogi, Psikologi, dan Filologi Zhezkazgan Baikonurov University, Kazakhstan. Beliau menyelesaikan PhD di bidang pendidikan dengan spesialisasi bilingualisme dan komunikasi lintas budaya. Beliau pernah menempuh pendidikan dan riset di Jerman, Rusia, dan Amerika Serikat. Beliau adalah penulis lebih dari 39 publikasi, termasuk buku Multiculturalism and Multilingualism. Dan beliau menguasai 4 bahasa, yakni Kazakh, Rusia, Inggris, dan Jerman. Dr. Kashkinbayeva is an associate professor and head of the Department of Pedagogy, Psychology, and Philology at Zhezkazgan Baikonurov University, Kazakhstan. She holds a PhD in education, has studied in Germany, Russia, and the United States, and is the author of more than 39 publications, including the book Multiculturalism and Multilingualism. She speaks 4 languages, Kazakh, Russian, English, and Germany. Dan hari ini beliau akan membahas 2 topik ya. She will present 2 topics. Yang pertama, code switching. Code switching and code mixing of teens in multicultural societies. Kedua, individual differences in second language acquisitions. And without further delay, let us begin. I invite Dr. Kashkinbayeva to deliver her lecture. The floor is yours, Doctor.
Thank you. So, I'm happy to be with you today. So, I want to tell about this issue, but before we will speak about language, language, culture, and history, they are interrelated because language cannot exist without society and without culture and so on. So, and Kazakhstan is a multinational and polylingual country. Why are we like dreamland in the United States, so multinational and multi-country? So I want to give you just a brief review of the history of Kazakhstan. So you know that Kazakhs and the Kazakh language is the Turkic language, like other languages from the Turkic language family, like Uzbek, Kyrgyz, Tatar, Bashkir, Turkish, Turkmen, and some Azerbaijan and some others. Yeah. We were a part of the former USSR, Soviet Union. Before the Soviet Union, we had ties with the Tsarist Russia, like the part of its colony, because it colonized a lot of Central Asian countries as well, so bordering it. After the revolution, we were a part of the Soviet Union, and during the Soviet Union, we changed the Kazakh alphabet like 2 times. Before changes and reforms of the alphabet, the Kazakh language used in Kazakh, it is called like Töte Жазу. It's close to Arabic one. But in 1929, the Soviet government decided that the script, which was close to the Arabic, was not comprehensible for others, and especially for those who control their language policy, their ideology. And we shifted the Kazakh alphabet, shifted to the Latin Roman letters, the Latin script. But in 1940, the Soviet government forced it to change the 3rd time to the Cyrillic alphabet to control ideology, to control all the mass media, like press and so on, newspapers. So we changed it. And of course, it was hard for the people at the time, for Kazakh citizen, to shift from one alphabet to another. That's why sometimes the Soviet experts, they called our grandparents like illiterate, though they could write and read in like Töte Жазу, like in Arabic, then in Latin script. And later, all of them could write and read in Cyrillic alphabet. Why our country is multinational? And we had some language issues in our country till independence, till our gaining independence. First of all, before revolution, the Tsarist Russia, they moved a lot of their farmers, peasants to Kazakhstan, and giving them territories, lands in Kazakhstan. Then after the revolution, and especially before the Second World War, a lot of nations of the Soviet Union were forced and deported to Kazakhstan. These were Germans from Volga region, Crimean Tatars, then Ukrainians, then people from nations from Baltic countries like Lithuanians, Estonians, Latvians, then Greeks from the Turkish people from Crimea, then Polish people, then Koreans from Far East. So they all, and the Chechens in February 1943. And Koreans were deported in before the Second World War, and then Germans were deported in 1941. So thus our country became multinational. And during the exploration of virgin lands in Akmola region and in Arkalak region, a lot of you see members of Komsomol, they moved to explore their lands, virgin lands. We can say that we have our history with other nations in Kazakhstan, with Germans, Crimean Tatars, with Belarusians, Ukrainians, Lithuanians, and all of them who were deported from their cities, from their villages by the Soviet regime. They learned Kazakh language and they could speak Kazakh. But during the Soviet Union, in Kazakhstan and in all Soviet republics, the dominance was of the Russian language. It was like Russian only. And even in our cities in Kazakhstan, there were a lot of Russian schools, and there were only one Kazakh school. Like there was only one Kazakh school per city, per village. So this was the situation in Kazakhstan. So, and our grandparents, our grandmothers, grandfathers, and our parents, fathers and mothers, they could speak Kazakh fluently. So as for my generation, we were brought up and educated during a Soviet language policy and ideology. And it resulted in, for example, in my case, when I can translate from Kazakh into Russian, but it's a little bit difficult for me to translate quickly from, for example, English and Russian into Kazakh. And I can say that sometimes I think in Russian than in Kazakh. These are like the results of the language policy in the former Soviet Union. And after the collapse of the Soviet Union, people in Kazakhstan, and especially Kazakhs, we gained our language, our independence, and our, you see, national identity. So, and when I listen to you, how you speak fluently in your native language, so I admired you, because as for my generation, who nowadays like 50 and 60, I'm 61. So we had troubles with speaking our mother tongue. So because of the language policy at that time. So, and we can say that this is like melting pot in Kazakhstan. It was the Soviet ideology and Soviet regimes like a policy. So, and this was the historical background of the Russian dominance in the languages and in culture and in ideology. So nowadays, of course, we have a lot of Kazakh schools. So, and I want to share just a minute. So, can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes, we can. Yeah.
So, so. Now we are like multinational, multi-confessional, because we have like Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, so different beliefs, religions, and a lot of ethnic groups in our country. So, and when I was in the United States, I was asked by one of the students, do we have segregation according to the religion or maybe languages? I said no, because though many people were forced to come to Kazakhstan and learn Kazakh, but we lived the same history with them. We live it with them. As for the Kazakh culture, we see just that Kazakh people had a nomadic lifestyle. We lived in the vast territory, and we live in the vast territory of 2,700,000 square kilometers. So, and usually Kazakh people were involved in cattle breeding, so, and moved from one place to another one. And historically, Kazakh people survived in severe winter weather conditions. And all like Silk Road routes were through Kazakhstan. A lot of merchants, traders from Europe, from other countries, they usually crossed Kazakhstan. And what did Kazakh people do? As my, for example, grandfather told, Kazakh houses were open, the doors were open. Why? Because as my grandfather told, he said that we helped other people from European countries, merchants, traders, to survive when it was very frosty, or when it was like a heavy shower, rain, and windy, stormy conditions. So this was, you see, mingling of cultures and languages from ancient times. So, and it, of course, resulted in, like you see, in our mentality. So a mentality of Kazakh people who are open to other cultures, languages, and tolerant to other beliefs, to other lifestyles. So, and as I already told you, the dominant language in the Soviet Union, it was Russian, but now we can say that endangered languages, and especially Kazakh, now it has the stage of revival. So if earlier we had some language-based discrimination during the Soviet era, now in the stage of independence, we gained our national identity and our national language again. So, and I can say that teenagers nowadays, they speak Kazakh, Russian, and English fluently. But I can say that, so you can see this is the map of Kazakhstan. So Kazakhstan, I live in central Kazakhstan, so it's vast territory. See, we border with Russia, China, then Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, then border we border with through the sea with Azerbaijan and Iran, so and Turkmenistan. So and as I have told you about why it is like multilingual. So and Kazakh language is state language, and Russian became like lingua franca during the Soviet time. So like the language of like interethnic international communication here in Kazakhstan. English is global integration language. So now you can see like the percentage of language proficiency. So 65 people speaking Kazakh, they can speak English as well nowadays. And 85% of Russians can speak English. And as you can see here, there are some other languages like mother tongues of Ukrainians and Belarusians, Chechen people, like Lithuanians, Germans, Koreans, who live in Kazakhstan, and Dongan or Uyghur who live in Kazakhstan, and they speak their mother tongue as well. So, and they have even schools in Uyghur, like Korean, so languages. And we have here ethnic and like national centers in Kazakhstan for people of other nationalities and ethnic groups. For example, German Wiedergeburt, Renaissance, then Korean, then like Ukrainian, Turkmen, Belarusian, and other like national centers in all cities in Kazakhstan. So I have told you already about Soviet dominance of Russian. So and nowadays we can see like post 1991 a revival of Kazakh after gaining independence. So and nowadays we have trilingual policy. Like Kazakh state official language, and Russian for like lingua franca, and English as global language. And you can see here like timeline of shifting from one script to another on Kazakh script, change it to Cyrillic, you can see. And then to Latin, and nowadays we try to shift to Latin script nowadays, because you see, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, a lot of post-Soviet countries, they shifted to Latin. These are countries like, for example, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan. So all of them, except Russian, Belarusian, Kyrgyz, and Kazakh, only 4 republics still have Cyrillic script. Others, they changed to the Latin, except, of course, German and Armenian, because they had their own script. Others shifted again to Latin. So, and what are the trends of the language policy nowadays? Like state promotion of Kazakh across all educational institutions and other institutions, not only educational. So, but we can experience Russian like functional domains as well. Why? Because like elder generations, they still speak Russian, and even some Kazakhs, they have some troubles with speaking Kazakh. I mean, like my generation, I can speak. I mean, like my peers. So, And as for new generation of teenagers, they speak Kazakh fluently. So, and a lot of like teenagers, they speak English. So, as for the older generations, sometimes they have troubles with speaking and studying English. So, which is, of course, the global language of global integrity, of globalization. So, and you can see here, if in during the Soviet Union, there were not so many Kazakh schools. Nowadays, we have a lot of Kazakh schools, and during the Soviet Union, a lot of Kazakh families they had chosen Russian schools for the future of their children, because during the Soviet Union, if a citizen couldn't speak Russian, the person couldn't be promoted in professional spheres, in career, so couldn't have like scholarships in higher education institutions, universities. So that's why a lot of Kazakh families had forced to study Russian and to place their children in Russian medium schools, in Russian language schools. So, and now we can see that we have the growth of language schools, Kazakh language schools nowadays. And sometimes we have mixed trilingual programs like Uyghurs schools, and then Korean, and then English schools, like, for example, Haileybury or Miras or some Darin, or where the instruction is not only in Kazakh and Russian, it is in English as well. So, as I have told you, Kazakh as national identity symbol. So you see that this theme, this topic is so significant for us because comparing to other not former Soviet countries, we had some. You see, Kazakh was endangered language. Now we are gaining our language again and our national identity. So, but you see the language use is different in like regions. If in urban like regions, usually there are a lot of like bilingual, multilingual citizen, but in rural areas, there are, for example, especially in southern and western regions, in Aktau, for example, in Shymkent, in Taras, there are a lot of Kazakh speakers, and especially of the older generation who, for example, don't speak Russian, and especially teenagers. That's why there is a language policy and education policy nowadays in Kazakhstan, when a lot of teenagers they are given grants, scholarships in northern Kazakhstan, in central Kazakhstan, eastern Kazakhstan, to giving opportunity for teenagers from southern and western regions to study in northern Kazakhstan, central Kazakhstan, and eastern Kazakhstan, and to study Russian and English, because those are, you see, demographically like very populated regions, and especially the percentage of Kazakh speaking people are more in that territories. So, and in urban areas such as, for example, Astana and Karaganda and Almaty, there are a lot of bilingual and sometimes polylingual people. But during the Soviet time, Kostanay, Pavlodar, Petropavlovsk, Oskimien, and Aktobe, these regions were usually like Russian speakers. And even among Kazakh natives as well. They spoke only Russian. Nowadays, they speak Kazakh and Russian. So, and what about code switching and code mixing situations? As I have told, usually like people in Kazakhstan, they are bilingual. Those who were deported from Volga region, Germans, Chechen, they speak their mother tongue, their native language, and they speak Kazakh. People of German ethnic group, and Chechen and others who were deported, they studied Kazakh and they learned it. They can speak Kazakh fluently. They can use a lot of idioms, phraseologisms in Kazakh. They know Kazakh traditions, Kazakh songs, Kazakh customs. So, but the situation with the Russians in Kazakhstan is not the same because they study Kazakh not so willingly. So they are nowadays, after gaining independence, forced to study Kazakh. So, and only Russians speak not so much Kazakh, and only maybe 20% of Russians nowadays speak Kazakh. Others, they can speak just Russian. So as for other nations in Kazakhstan, they speak their mother tongue and they speak Kazakh. And as for Kazakh people in Kazakhstan, they all are multilingual people. And when I was asked in the United States how many languages do I speak, and I spoke, and I said that I speak 4 languages, and they were surprised, but I told them that there are a lot of people in Kazakhstan. I'm like, it's a common situation in Kazakhstan to be polylingual, multilingual, as like me, for example. Because my neighbors, they are multilingual, my colleagues, and not only from my department, but my relatives, they are like multilingual. And what about code mixing and code switching? We can notice that we sometimes we don't notice that we have shifted from one language to another one. For example, we can speak Kazakh and then we can add some sentences in Russian, for example, or we can speak Kazakh and in the same sentence we can add some Russian words. We didn't notice it, but Kazakh people who you see who moved to other countries during the genocide of Kazakh people in 1920s, in 1930s, during the Soviet regime. We had a genocide famine, which was organized by the Soviet regime, Bolshevik regime. And a lot of people, they starved and died of hunger because a lot of their cattle was taken for the Soviet army to feed them, the soldiers, during the Civil War. So, and about 5 million of Kazakh people died during the genocide. And others, they flew away to other countries such as Mongolia, China, Afghanistan, then Iran, Turkey, to other countries. And nowadays, some of the families from other countries, Kazakh families, they return to Kazakhstan or to their homeland, to the land of their ancestors. And they can, of course, they can speak, for example, Mongolian and Kazakh, Chinese and Kazakh, Turkish and Kazakh, then Urdu or Pashto and Kazakh, Farsi and Kazakh, for example, so, and Arabic or Kazakh, and so other country and Kazakh. But they speak, like you see, pure Kazakh, not mixed with the Russian words. So as it was before their ancestors, before their grandparents moved to other countries. And when we speak with them, they say, so we cannot understand you because sometimes you add to your speech some Russian or some other words. Like, for example, you see, we can say, Sen mаған звонда. So, звонда, it means call, but in Russian. But we can add, you see, Kazakh inflections or suffixes to Russian words, and we don't notice. It's like, Sen mаған звондайсың ба? Will you call me? So, adding the Russian verb звонда. Or, for example, like some young people told, or some other people, сен не істеп жатырсың, what are you doing? Мен пылесос істетіп жатырмын. So, пылесос істетіп жатырмын, it means the Russian word пылесос, vacuum cleaner, and adding the Kazakh suffix and inflection, пылесос істетіп жатырмын. So I am vacuum cleaning. Or like some others, some other words which we even don't notice, but people, Kazakh people who return from other countries, they don't know Russian, and they can notice, and they usually tell us, you don't speak pure Kazakh. Sometimes you mix it with some words with from Russian. So, so this is like you see, so this is the language situation. So in our country, when we even don't notice that we add some other words. Or, for example, like my nephews, my younger brother now lives in Switzerland, near Zurich. So, and his children sometimes they speak German at schools and in public places, but they speak Kazakh at home. And in the video, I saw that my niece, she asked my younger brother, Papa ана жерге штей етші? So, Dad, can you stay there? But she added to the German verb stehen the Kazakh suffix stejtetsche, could stay there. Stehen, it means stand there. So, and my younger brother answered, "Мен о жерде штейт етпеймін. I will not stand there." So, with the same German verb and adding suffixes and inflection of the Kazakh language. So you see, we use it in multi-language countries. We use sometimes this code switching and code mixing, sometimes without noticing it. So, and as you can see, language pattern. We a lot of Kazakh families, they speak Kazakh at home. And at school and university, they speak Kazakh and Russian, and adding English, because in some Kazakhstan universities, like for example, KIMEP in Almaty, Nazarbayev University in Astana, Kazakhstan British University in Almaty, the instruction language is just in English. So, and they speak their English. So, and in the works and offices, the Russian language is dominant, sometimes in some places, but in governmental places in Kazakhstan, in governmental bodies, nowadays, Kazakh, the Kazakh language is like recognized and spoken, and the documentation is usually in Kazakh nowadays. I mean, in the last decades, So, and as for friends and in social like communication, there's like code switching. We can switch from one language to another one, like in Kazakh or in Russian. It depends on whether we speak with just Kazakh people or we speak with, for example, representatives of other languages and nations in living in Kazakhstan, or maybe with foreigners, and then we speak English. So, and as for media consumption, it is in 3 languages. So Kazakh, the state language, then of course, as we neighbor with Russia, there are some TV channels and radio channels in Russian, and there are a lot of news channels in English. So as for situation in my, for example, family, as my husband is from October, he was from October and the Russian-speaking territory, and my sons were Russian speakers usually. But nowadays, my elder son, he can speak both Russian and Kazakh, so without any trouble, he can code switch. And as for my younger son, he speaks like predominantly Russian, and he can speak a little bit Chinese and a little bit English. As for Kazakh, he has some troubles and psychological barriers. He thinks that his pronunciation is not correct, that his grammar is in Russian is correct. That's why he has some psychological troubles. As for my, for example, grandson, so his parents are busy, and my grandson lives with me. And as I am like teaching in English and in German, and I listen to news channels in English, and sometimes I have a Zoom in English and Zoom meetings with, for example, U.S. Embassy, with my colleagues from the United States and from other countries. And I have subscribed to him to YouTube Kids in English educational like channels. So he started speaking late after 4 years, and he speaks English. So this is our trouble. Why? Because no one speaks English in kindergartens and in school in our like city in Jeskasgan. In Astana, in Almaty, there are schools in English. So, and he went to Kazakh kindergarten, and the educator spoke only Kazakh with him, but he just learned some words, few words in Kazakh. Now he goes to the like preschool classes at school, and to the Russian teacher, but he just studied some words in Russian, and he can count till 5 in Russian, but then he continues like he speaks this way: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And when we do sums, for example, in maths, he says, I say, for example, 1 plus 1, and he says 2. He answers in, he understands me, but he answers, replies in English. So, and I usually tell to his teacher, and he usually calls his teacher not Ekaterina Anatolyevna, but teacher. So that we should be patient, and maybe later he will switch to Russian and to Kazakh because he is now only 6 years old. So so this is a like situation even in my family, you can see. So which shows that we are now like a multilingual country with some language issues in even in our families. So, and as for standardization and dialects, you know that of course, like many other languages, we have dialects, and especially in our vast territory, because we have the southern Kazakh vocabulary, which is different from our region's vocabulary. Northern part, and even our, not only like some vocabulary issues, but even customs and traditions in the southern part and northern part of Kazakhstan and western part, they vary, they're different. So, and as I have told you, language and culture, they are interrelated as well. So, but anyway, our language experts, they try to standardize, and we have standards and norms in Kazakh, and especially nowadays you have a lot of researchers in Kazakh. Theses and dissertations. Earlier during the Soviet time, we had usually dissertations and research studies only in Russian. Nowadays, a lot of people, they do research in Kazakh and in English as well. So, and from the government, we have the support from for trilingualism and for promotion all languages, not only even like Kazakh, English, Russian, but other native languages of other representatives of our country. So, and this is how can you see it was earlier, like usually in the northern and eastern part and in western part, the dominance of the Russian was. And in Mangistau, for example, Turkestan, then Tarash and Kent regions, the Kazakh speakers were practitioners. But nowadays, we can say that it shifted, that many parts and many regions, they speak Kazakh. Why? Because we have nowadays the scholarship, which is called Sirpen, which involves Kazakh teens of 17, 18, 19 years old to study with grants and scholarships in northern part of Kazakhstan, in central and eastern part of Kazakhstan, to mix the population, the Kazakh and Russian population. And we can say that now it is like equals the Kazakh and Russian speaking population. And as for English, why do Kazakh people nowadays study it? Because of the globalization, of course, integration in economic and political and cultural ties. But we have such a program which is called like Bolashak, supported by the government, financial supported. And a lot of teens from Kazakhstan, a lot of young people from Kazakhstan, they can study with the like governmental support in leading universities in the United States, in Canada, British universities, European universities, in Singapore, in Malaysia, in other countries, which are in the list. If some universities they give their information, they are added to the list of our Ministry of Science and Higher Education, and they can study, and usually our government pays for the tuition and living there. It is like scholarship covering everything, tuition fees, and then living there. So thanks to this educational policy of our government, a lot of young people, they can speak English because a lot of them, they study nowadays, they studied, and then they graduated from foreign universities, and their English language is in a higher level. So, and attitudes to towards languages in Kazakhstan. So, but it was like if it was like earlier, but nowadays we can say that with giving more scholarships for bachelor's degree and master's degree and doctoral degrees in foreign countries, a lot of young people, they study English nowadays to have the chance, the opportunity to get their bachelor's degree in foreign universities, their master's degree in foreign universities. For example, My colleagues' children, they graduated from from London School of Business, gaining their master's degree there. So and as if we mention the psycholinguistics like aspects of language situation in Kazakhstan. As I have told you, it is automatic switching in Kazakh and Russian of bilinguals here in Kazakhstan, which sometimes we even don't mention. We don't notice it, so it's invisible for us. We can say that it's like our everyday life. So, and cross-linguistic influence, of course, of other tourists or of other, for example, visiting scholars, of other international students who study here in Kazakhstan. So, and of course, cognitive flexibility benefits of it. So you can see here, the brain activity. So as I have noticed, a lot of bilingual citizen and bilingual students, they have a great academic achievements. Why? Because, and especially in languages. Why? Because their brain is already used to the switching from one language to another one, and it can so you see, study other sciences as well, not only languages, but for example, natural sciences, because of the brain activity flexibility. So, and because when you see, when we study languages and when we teach languages, we use the principle of the link to the mother tongue. In what way? We don't speak mother tongue when we teach them, but when we, for example, teach grammar, we can compare the grammar phenomena of the target language, for example, of the English, and the grammar phenomena of the Kazakh language, whether they are similar or distinct or different, for example. And when we compare, the acquisition process is more effective. So, and this is a good principle to use in language teaching for many languages. And you can see language dominance, usually nowadays teenagers, they are more flexible in learning, acquiring new languages. So a lot of them, they speak English. Not only Kazakh, they speak English. As for elder generations, they are not so flexible in learning languages, but especially those who are, for example, 50 years old or 60 years old. So, I mean, of other professions and occupations, like, for example, engineers, or for example, from other spheres of human activity. So, and in Kazakhstan, what is the language situation in Kazakhstan? Early Kazakh-Russian bilingualism. Our children, they hear the speeches in not only in one language, not monolingual speech, but bilingual, sometimes like even polylingual, like, for example, my grandson. So, and what, according to the trilingual language policy of our government, English is added to school programs. And in some schools, for example, they were like Kazakh Turkish school. Nowadays, they are called like Bilim Inovatsiya Lyceum. It means Bilim, it means knowledge. Lyceums where the study is in English, instruction language is in English. So, or for example, like in some private schools, like Haileybury, Miraz, Darren, in some others, and Nazarbayev intellectual schools are supported by the government, the instruction language is in English. So, and of course in Kazakh as well. So, and impact of the language input balance supported by the government. So, and our teens, they are brought up in mixed language environments. So, and as you can see nowadays, and especially at the era of internet and rapid use and push of the internet and IT in our sphere of human activities and in education as well. A lot of children, they use, for example, some websites, educational websites, and they have access to English and some other languages and to information in other languages as well. So, and multilingual identity as a modern Kazakh identity. So, and emotional, what is emotional attachment? Of course, like in many countries which just gained independence, Kazakh people, they like when representatives of other nations and ethnic groups, they speak Kazakh, so they welcome it, and especially when, for example, like you say, ambassadors and attaches of other like countries, embassies, they speak, for example, Polish ambassador spoke Kazakh fluently, and of course he was welcomed by Kazakh. So this is, of course, Kazakh people, they are tolerant to all languages and cultures and traditions, customs, but we suffered from the language and ideology of language policy and the
Sepertinya miss-nya terlempar ya.
Sorry, I will wrap up. Excuse me. So I will wrap up. So, okay. Just a minute. So we had education disparities. Nowadays, we try to balance it. So, and of course, earlier till this decade, even there was a risk of minority language marginalization. But after 2010, 2010, some educational policies changed. So, and I have told you already about code switching, code missing. So it is like it's like you see our natural situation nowadays. It's like a very common situation. So it's like, for example, you see, I have noticed code switching and the code mixing of Mexican people in the United States, Spanish speaking, who could speak, for example, English, and then with each other, sometimes adding some Spanish sentences or some Spanish words, speaking English. So the same is, for example, in Kazakh. So, as for social groups who are mostly bilingual and trilingual, we can say that in southern part, some groups of people who are like engaged in agriculture sphere, they are mostly monolingual, like Kazakh speakers. In urban territories and regions, and especially in IT sphere and in some other international companies, people are usually bilingual, or sometimes they are trilingual or multilingual. So this is like you see grouping of the language like users according to the regions and according to the social groups. So, and as I have told you, only sometimes people have some psychological barriers when so for example, speaking Kazakh, for example, or English. I don't know why. I have noticed that in the United States, Chinese people, they speak English without any like discomfort, though they have the English or the Chinese accent. And that's why I usually tell to my students that it's okay to have accent, for example, because we are used to our articulation basis of the Kazakh language. So, but I can say that even many Russian experts, they notice that comparing to all post-Soviet countries, Kazakh speakers, they speak Russian without any accent. So I can say that I can speak Russian without any accent, but we speak even English with a Russian accent and even Kazakh. Sometimes Kazakh people say that tell me that I speak Kazakh with a Russian accent. So I think that because I studied at maybe a Russian medium, Russian language school. So, and as for the Kazakh teens, they are like you see, and especially from urban areas. They have good skills, like perfect skills in language acquisition, whether it is German, so they study German and they, in a year, they can even speak and ask questions in German. So I think that this is the brain activity flexibility of bilingual and multilingual people. If you, for example, study the second language, it is like easier for you to study the third language, the fourth, and so on. So this is the psychology of our brain activity. And that's why Kazakh teens and other nations' teens who are bilingual, they are, like you see, good at languages. So they have better cognitive skills in language acquisition. So, and as I have told you, multilingual brains process. So, and it's a very like developed by bilingual and multilingual people in Kazakhstan. So, and I have told you about the language and identity. So, and we a lot of teens nowadays, they try to like overcome language barriers in communication and speaking, because even if they study, for example, language, sometimes they have like language barriers, and especially in English, but of course not all of them. I have noticed that these are usually from like rural areas, and especially from southern Kazakhstan. But as for urban areas and school leavers from urban schools, city schools, they are more flexible and they are more confident in learning and in speaking languages. So you can see, I think that we are like, as a lot of Asian people, we are like similar in appearance and in beliefs, only like different language families. Yeah. So I mean Indonesian and Kazakh, so because we are from the Turkic language families. And what are future directions? Strengthening practical trilingual competence, and not only trilingual, but multilingual. And Ministry of Higher Education and Science and Higher Education and the Ministry of Education of Kazakhstan, they try to improve teacher training and especially of language teachers. So inclusive language policies for all of them, to have access for all people. So, and maintain social cohesion. So these are students from Kazakhstan. I want to just to show to your students that they are the same as your students. So, and conclusion, Kazakhstan. So in the intersection of languages in identity and cognition. So, and social linguistic in social groups, and psycholinguistics with psychological barriers and overcoming them. must work together. So, and multilingual remains both a strength and an ongoing project. So, what I wanted to show you, to tell you, so that our customs and traditions, not only we have mixture of the languages here, but mixture of the traditions and customs. Because people in Kazakhstan of other nations, they celebrate our Kazakh traditions. Like, for example, you see Nowruz, our New Year, in March. On March the 22nd, and for example Ramadan, and Eid, for example Kazakh people, they celebrate with the Germans and Russians, Belarusian, Ukrainians, they Easter, and they have traditional holidays. So this is, you see, we are like the melting pot of languages and culture, like mingling and mixing. So in our life, because now we created by, of course, the Soviet regime, and now we are Kazakhstani people, Kazakhs, Ukrainians, Russian, Germans, Koreans, Chechens, Tatars, Lithuanians, and Bulgarians, Polish people, and all of them. So you know that in my region there was like Steplak. It is one of the branches of Gulag concentration camp. And a lot of war prisoners were here, and not only war prisoners, but political enemies, political prisoners who were opposed to the Soviet regime. They were exiled, and they were here in concentration camp in Karlak, near Karaganda, in Steplak, it's in just Kazgan. So, and war criminals, they were called during Soviet time from Japan. Japanese soldiers were here in Kazgan. And you see the people from Baltic countries, they considered by the Soviet regime that they supported the Nazi regime. So they were here in Steplak, Karla, Gulag, even in concentration camps. So you see, we had such a history from which we suffered, all the nations here in Kazakhstan. We have a common history, and we have common future in our country. So do you have any questions? We love our country, we love our language, and we respect other nations and their traditions, technologies. That's why they lived near us, as our neighbors, Germans. And a lot of Chechen people, they said that in February 1943, when they were deported, so in their cold carriages, which were for cattle transporting, that only Kazakh people helped them. I know that my grandparents, they helped one of the Chechen teens who was 13. He was the only survivor from his family, and he was brought up by my grandparents. So, and when my grandma died, passed away, he came and he cried. He was so sad because he said that she was like his second mom after he lost his family. So, and not only my grandparents, but all Kazakh people, they helped to Chechens, Germans, to survive and to live here in Kazakhstan, because they thought that they are our neighbors, so with our common history. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zamzagul. It's fascinating to see how complex the linguistic situation in Kazakhstan. Quite similar to Indonesia, but I don't know if it's that much complex. Yeah. So Once again, thank you, Dr. Zamzago, for such a rich and thought-provoking presentation. Your talk has highlighted the complexity of multilingualism in Kazakhstan, from language policy and identity to code switching practices and individual language learning differences. Before we open Q&A,
Just a minute.
Before we have Q&A session, we will have a short 5-minute break, from now until maybe 12, for Indonesian students, from 12 until 47. Jadi kepada seluruh peserta, kita akan memasuki sesi tanya jawab, tapi sebelum itu kita istirahat sejenak dulu 5 menit, mulai dari sekarang sampai 12.47 ya. So maybe we'll take that time to prepare our questions, and maybe for Dr. Zamzagul to also take a rest, take a break before we have questions. Thank you. Selamat datang kembali. Udah boleh kita mulai sesi tanya jawabnya? Oke, saya mau kasih panduan dulu. Jika ada yang ingin bertanya, silakan raise hand atau tulis pertanyaan di kolom chat. Sebutkan nama dan asalnya, misalnya Yani dari UIN Suskaryau, semester 4 atau semacamnya. Dan satu peserta hanya boleh satu pertanyaan. Welcome back. Now we would like to open the floor for questions. Please raise your hand or type your question in the chat. Mention your name and affiliation. One question per participant. Mari kita mulai. Pertanyaan pertama, silakan. Ya, first question, please. Okay, maybe while we're waiting for our participants to ask question, maybe I would like to ask like not some, just one question to our
Maybe
amazing.
I will ask you, do you have such a situation, language situation in your country, like multilingual or because I know that you have your, yes, official language, but did you have such situation as it was in our country?
Of course. Yeah, but I imagine it's not as complicated as Kazakhs, or maybe my knowledge is not that deep for this topic, but we do have problem with multilingual and multicultural because we have one official language that is Indonesian, but we also have regional language for every island that we have. We have Sumatra, we have Java, we have Kalimantan, we have Celebes, we have Papua, and every island have their own language. And in every island, we have every city and another like many villages. So they have their own language and their policy for the language, and they also have different how we say like accent. So yeah, I mean, I haven't learned about the historical, geographical, or political reason behind that. And maybe if I dig deeper, it's maybe just as complicated as Kazakhs. But I'm really interested about the Kazakhs history too, and also the multilingual problem in your home, like you talk about your grandson and your family. It's really interesting. So maybe someday, if I have time, I will try to dig deeper in my own country too. It's really interesting, really.
So as for like regional differences, we have different vocabularies even like for you see in the southern regions there are some dialects which we cannot understand without, of course, explanation. For example, some in our territory in the central and northern part is like wire, but some in the southern Kazakh, it is southern part of Kazakhstan, it is like you see trousers, you see difference. So, and some others, like sometimes we use different words. Do you have the same with your vocabulary?
Of course. Yeah. I cannot like have like just take away like just freely, but one word that I can remember is we have different name for the same food. So for example, like in Sumatra we call like there is this we have sweet food called onde onde, but in Java it's called, what do we call it? Like we have different name for it. So when we mention, maybe when I moved to Java for my study and I mentioned about this food, no one can understand me. Like, but when I show them the photo and they say, "Oh no, that's not the name." Yeah. Um, and maybe the I know there is another example, but I cannot recall it now. But yeah, we have the same problem too.
And we have impact of other languages and of other, like you see, when like Muslim religion was brought to Kazakhstan, not only like religious books were like borrowed, but the names, like for example, Mikteb, Kitab, Mugalim from Arabic, and then even my name Zamzagul. Its beginning is from Zamzam. In Arabic, it means, you know, the water, like revealing vital water. So, and Gul is from Turkish, which means flower. So you see, and when I like visited Dubai, they said at the airport, "Do you know what is the meaning of your Zamzam?" Yes, I said, "Yes, I know. Zamzam suwa, Zamzam water, and Gul from Turkish, you see. And we have a lot of names from Turkish because we are Turkic language, and from Arabic. So you see, it's like impact of other languages and other cultures too, even our proper names.
So it's much more international, the problem, right? Yeah, yeah. Well, it's really interesting. Like how many years have you learned about this? Like until your PhD, I think. You're studying about this, right?
So as I'm now 61, and so a lot of years. So, and I'm teaching at the university, and my students, they write like diploma thesis, and they do studies about code mixing and code switching, and I study their research works. So that's why I know, because it's interesting for them as well, because they study the language of modern teenagers. So how they switch code and how they add English words. For example, they use in Kazakh. Sen жаңа gadget aldın ba? Have you bought a new gadget? So gadget in Kazakh, you see, or like, oh, lol, анау келе жатыр, oh, lol, he's coming now. Do you remember him? So some other words like lol or shoes. I mean, жаңа shoes сатып алдым, I have bought new shoes. In Kazakh, you see some English words they use it so in the everyday speech. So.
Yeah. Yeah, some English words also have been implemented in Indonesia. So, and maybe the the latest generation won't even remember the Indonesian word of it. But when we say the English word, they understand like directly. So, yeah. We haven't, like, there's no question from our participants. Oh, there's Pak Roli Gautama. Maybe you have question, like we have one of our new lecturer. Nice to meet you, Pak Roli.
Iya, Bu. Senang bertemu dengan Ibu Raden Haryani. Dengan Pak Ara, saya sudah sering bertemu. Dengan Bu Yani, saya belum pernah ketemu.
Iya.
Masya Allah.
Pertanyaan kan, Pak?
Ayo teman-teman yang bertanya ini.
Yeah.
One more moment, I want to tell you. So my daughter-in-law, she worked in Georgia. I asked, why do you work in Georgia? It is Georgia, Tbilisi. Yes. So she said that nowadays there are a lot of tourists from Central Asia and especially from Kazakhstan visiting Georgia. And their elder population, like my peers, they know Russian, but they principally they didn't and they don't want to use Russian language. As for their new generation, younger generation, they don't know Russian. If they even want to speak Russian, but they don't know. They only speak German and English. And my daughter-in-law and her friends, they worked as cashiers, like at the cash desk, and then shop assistants and the restaurants to translate to Kazakh and Russian people there in Tbilisi, because usually the elderly generation they don't know English, and they of course they don't know Georgian. So this is the situation in some others post-Soviet countries. The elder generation they don't want to speak, and I experienced it in Armenia. I visited Yerevan Armenian Republic. So, and when we couldn't find our way, elder generation, they didn't want to speak Russian with us. And only one of the girls from medical university, she helped us to find our way. So in former Soviet Republic, the elder generation, they don't want to use Russian, and the younger generation, they don't know Russian. As for Kazakhstan, our elderly generation, they speak Russian, and the situation is, you see, maybe more comfortable for all like visitors in Kazakhstan. So
maybe we have also the same problem because my husband is from like other island in Indonesia, like from Sulawesi, it's called. And he told me that the only person in the family, the last generation who talk the language, the language called Bobo, I think, yeah, Bobo maybe. I don't know. It's only him, like that's one. Maybe it's the problem with generations. I don't know, generations or racism. It's interesting to learn about, right? I'm sorry if I misspoken. We have like new two questions from Nesha Asti Amelia and Luciana Eka Permadani. Maybe we please silakan Nesha Asti Amelia untuk
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Excuse me. I would like to ask a question. Good afternoon, everyone. And then I'm the linguist. So I'm from. Wait. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. And then this show, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Nisha Asti Amelia, and then I'm fourth semester student in the Indonesian language education. So I'm in program at the Sultan Syarif Qasim State Islamic University of Riau, and I come from Indonesia. I would like to ask a question. As we have the discussion language issue and the multicultural society and from social linguistic practice, and a little speaker explained that timeline issue and the great season shift from the US the critical script to a latent script. Nah, and as well, the country efficient to become trilingual social in the future. Nah, apa tadi isunya? The issue is that in many countries, such as Indonesia and Japan, English proficiency too is often required from international scholarship and explained in multicultural companies. Nah, as a result, individuals who do not have success access to learning English may be left behind. Okay, therefore, my question is, how does the dominance of English affect access to global education and job opportunity in not English speaking countries? Okay, thank you, ma'am.
So, as I have told you, we have the program Bolashak for scholarships in foreign universities, yes. And nowadays, the government has supports learning English, and they added the hours of English at schools, secondary schools. And in addition, of course, many parents, wealthy parents, they pay for the private tutors of English. But not all, for example, multi-children families where they have, for example, 4 children or 6 children, 7 children, they cannot afford to pay for English tutors. And we have the US support, maybe in your country as well. It is called like English Access Scholarship Program. This is for teenagers from socially disadvantaged with low income families of the age between 13 and 15. And we teach them English like free. And it is paid for their teaching by the US government, US Department of State. And they buy textbooks from England and from foreign publishing houses for these teens. And who pays? American taxpayers. So, and this is for those children who want to study, for example, IT at the university where the instruction is in English, to provide them access for scholarships at the IT universities or to foreign universities. I myself taught them 4 times for 4 seasons. And today, in an hour period or in 40 minutes, I will go to these access students who will wait for me because I am teaching, and we will have closing ceremony of this session this June, and U.S. Embassy will come to congratulate and to give them the certificates of 2-year study. So, and we have the governmental support, like extra hours at schools, for example, and some parents, they pay like for private tuition. And of course, like the young people who graduate from foreign university with Bolashak program, they can have they can have more job opportunities because they have a lot of choice for job vacancies and to choose the job placement. So, and for international companies, oil gas companies, because you know that Kazakhstan has oil gas companies and the international ones. So, and a lot of for example, I live in Kazgan, and we have copper mines here, and copper is sold in England, in London, because it has 4 nines. It's a higher degree of the copper, which is used in all electronic devices and in it bypass products in like oil gas company refinery systems. So that's why it is called a Kazakhmys, and we have some foreign investors as well here. So, and of course, the engineers and our students of mining engineering department, they study English because we have a lot of visitors from other countries. So yeah, English is nowadays a global language, and a lot of teenagers, they study it. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Nesha, do you have any more question? Is it clear enough?
Okay, all right. Thank you, ma'am. And then I might understand. For thank you for much is your answer. And then I think this so especially because
I think the problem is also English in Indonesia is not used regularly, and not every city can access the language. Like for example, smaller cities, our students do not fluently speaking it or using it daily. We still use maybe regional language or Indonesian language. So that's still a problem when English is very important nowadays to access more knowledge, access new technology and jobs opportunity and stuff like that. So maybe that's why our student asks about that, right?
So, and do you know that when I visited Indiana University during the conference, I noticed there a book, Geopolitical Interest in Kazakhstan by many powers like Japan, Russia, China, the United States, and Great Britain. And I, of course, took that book, and maybe because of the interest in our geopolitical situation or in our resources, we have American corners in 10 or 11 cities in Kazakhstan where they supported. There are textbooks and manuals and discs and computers with internet access, which is supported by the US government. So you see. Do you have American corners there in Indonesia? Because we have in many cities here in Kazakhstan, and we have a good support from US Embassy here. And by a regional English language office, which supports studying English by all Central Asian countries. Maybe it's their interest because you see British Council again has a lot of seminars for our English teachers and for our students. So it's like competition between them. Maybe like in the sphere of influence. And as I have told you, like English Access Scholarship Program, we have in all regions of Kazakhstan this program for socially disadvantaged to low-income teenagers who can join our program and study free. For example, I teach for it. So, and it is paid, it is financially supported by the U.S. Department of State in Washington.
Yeah, maybe we don't have it like Dr. Afda, like we
I
don't
think
have
that you
program.
can ask, maybe you have for it. So, or I'll look on their website. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have from Aminef, like sometimes they send the English, like American to teach English, like to several schools. My schools, fortunately, we have it. In 2012, I think I have an English teacher from America, but it's like a specific program from Aminef. Yeah. Like, oh, okay, sorry, because of the time, maybe we can welcome our second asker, second student to ask. Luciana, please, you can ask your question.
Oke, ma'am, thank you. Selaku moderator untuk memberikan kesempatan kepada Lucy di sini untuk bertanya. Sebelumnya, hello ma'am, good morning. My name is Luciana Permadani. I'm a student at Universitas Islam Negeri Sultan Syarif Kasim Riau. I major in Indonesian language education in the Faculty of Tarbiyah. I would like to ask a question with your permission, ma'am, sir, and all participants. My question is, in Indonesia, most teenagers are exposed to at least 3 languages, their mother tongues, Indonesian, and English. In practice, English is often considered to have higher characteristics, so its use can make someone appear more confident or even different. For example, when promoting a product or speaking on social media. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Luciana. So the question is, why English seems more prestigious to use? Is that the question? Okay, yeah.
So I think that like it was like, for example, in during the Soviet regime, like Russian was like language lingua franca to speak with other nations. Nowadays, English is as lingua franca. But do you know the situation when the United States Microsoft program with even Zoom, with Apple, iPhones, and so on, with all gadgets and technologies, it is in English. But this situation, it was former colony of Britain. And after they gained independence, as they were territories of Netherlands there, you see, New York was former New Amsterdam, when then bought by British. Then Mexico, you know, New Mexico, Texas, and Southern California, they were territories of Mexico, which was Spanish colony. So, and then Louisiana, Des Moines, New Orleans, they were French colonies. So after the gaining the independence, there was the language of the official language, and they voted in Congress. First, they spoke about like, you see, Spanish. Then they said no, we will not take the Spanish. Then it was between English and French. When they voted 50-50, 50 for English, 50 for British. Then they postponed voting. During these months, British people, British citizens, they lobbied their interest, And after month period, there was like voting again, and there were 49 for French and 51 for English. So we could speak now French, and French could be lingua franca. But only like 2% of votes like decided how and we will speak in what language, French or English. As all technologies nowadays come from the United States, and you see, maybe you use Microsoft as we do, Excel, PowerPoint, so others. So we use English, and we cannot choose, for example, German or, for example, Ich spreche Deutsch, yeah. So or French, yeah. So others. So this is lingua franca, to be understood by other nations, or for your students and for our students to study in Canadian, British, American universities, because they don't speak Kazakh there, but they can teach in English. So that's why I think so. And because, of course, they involve a lot of scientists to their universities, and they provide them a better workplace, and there are a lot of Nobel Prize winners in their universities.
Well,
From different nations, Japanese, Germans, from different nations, but they engage them to
Yeah.
science in the United States.
Oh, so there's an actual history reason for it and political reason for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
We really need to learn about it too, maybe in our department, Mr. Afdal, because that's interesting. Like what this is mostly spoken, but there's actual reason for it, and in history and political. Wow, thank you, Dr. Zamzagol, and thank you, Luciana. Okay, can we accept one more question? Oh, we have
Yeah. You have 2 more questions. Okay, that's okay.
maybe first we welcome Anggun Latifasuri.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anggun? Okay, maybe she has connection problem. Maybe we can Mr. Rolly Gautama first.
Okay.
Okay. Excuse me, yes. Okay. How can education institution implement multicultural education to promote tolerance? I'm from Sumatera Barat. We have many dialect. Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah.
Multicultural. I heard it for example, from Indian like students of like master's degree in the United States, that they have a lot of dialects. They are about 100, and only Hindi nowadays is spoken. And as for our dialects in Kazakh, they are not so crucial in our country. As for foreign students and in multicultural, I think that it is as it is nowadays in the American universities. There, you see the internationalization in the United States is better than in all other countries. Why? Because of their scholarships, because of their visa promotion, because of their students in the United States, they can work with their student visa 4 hours a day, per day. So, and then they try to be tolerant to other languages, beliefs. I noticed in all campuses they have mosques and like rooms for praying for Muslim people, and there are churches, Christian churches, Baptist churches. So they provide everything. So I think that we should do in Kazakhstan and Indonesia the same way, and then we will have a lot of international students. We should give them the opportunity to to pray where they want and to keep their like traditions, of course, respecting ours, of course. So and like to be tolerant and to like respect other cultures. So I think this is one of the ways to be to have internationalization in their education, and to have more students from other countries. So to involve. And when you go to other countries, I usually tell to my students, Kazakh students, you cannot say that, so it's not my tradition. In Rome, do as the Romans do. If you go to Spain or if you go to Canada or the United States, you should respect their traditions, and you shouldn't say, no, it's not my tradition. So, or you should not go there if you don't respect their traditions. So,
Okay, thank you, Dr. Zamzago. Is it okay?
I'm good. Yes, Latif. Yeah,
Okay.
I see.
Thanks
That
very
is
much.
Okay. We move on to the last question from Anggun Latifasuri, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Anggunati Fasuri from Isu-Isu, and I would like to ask a question. I would like to ask a question to the code switching experts. In reality, many people are able to master more than one language. I have heard the opinion that when someone switches languages, that when not only their way of speaking changes, but also their attitude, mindset, and even their character. Based on this, can a person's language proficiency be measured by the changes in their character or behavior when using a caption language? For example, if someone's personality appears to change when speaking a different language, can this be considered a that they are truly proficient in that language? That is my question, ma'am. Thank you.
About code switching, yes, from one language to another one, yes. Yeah.
Yes, I think that question.
So you see that it's like usual common situation in our country, but when we did it, what my dad usually said, speak Kazakh purely. No words in Kazakh from Russian, for example. So speak purely. And he said, Kazakça taza söyle. Speak purely Kazakh. Don't add some words from Russian. But you see, it was our situation. And sometimes we, when we were young, we didn't notice that we use other, like words from other language. So, and elder generation, they noticed it and they like required us to speak pure Kazakh. Maybe they are right, that we should speak pure Kazakh without adding any words from Russian, English, or some other languages. So I usually argued and disputed, telling him that we have a lot of Arabic words, some Russian words, international words, like airport, printer, scanner, computer. So, but he said, yes, that these are borrowed words, international words, but otherwise shouldn't use code switching, code mixing. So it was requirement of my like dad and granddad. So, but it is our situation that we can't say that you should speak pure Kazakh. Maybe they are right. I mean, elder generation. So because my dad was educator, a lecturer at university. Now he died, and my mom was. And she lives now in Karaganda. She's a teacher, educator. She taught at college. So she taught Kazakh. So, and my dad, he taught biology and geography. So, so this is the situation that maybe it's like you see in Russian, it was like Russophily after invasion of Napoleon. They revealed that their aristocracy, their children speak just French, they don't know Russian. It was situation in Russia. And they studied Russian and purification of Russian. Or, for example, like in some other countries. For example, in Iceland, they speak just in their language, and there are a little, or maybe 1% only of borrowings. comparing to Russian or comparing to Kazakh, we have a lot of borrowings. Some countries, they are for purification, just for pure languages. But I think that at the era of globalization, maybe it's very hard to keep this norm.
Thank you for the answer, Dr. Zamzagul. Is it answering your question, Anggun?
Yes, I understand. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Yeah, I think we have no more questions. Like Dr. Afdal, is it enough for today's session?
Yes, it's
And
enough.
we hope that Dr. Afdal will lecture to our students starting next academic year. We invite him. So I am like speaking now with my administration, and they will welcome him. So
Wow.
so it's our future plan to cooperate with the university.
For the whole semester?
And for him to be, yes, our honorary professor.
Wow,
University.
that's so cool. Congratulations.
Oh my God. Thank you, Miss. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Baiklah, terima kasih kepada semua penanya dan semua yang hadir, dan juga kepada panitia, kepada para dosen. Terima kasih juga kepada Ibu Dr. Zamzagul atas semua jawaban yang sangat berharga. Thank you to all who have asked questions for today, and thank you Dr. Zamzagul for all your valuable answers. Mengakhiri sesi ini, kami sampaikan apresiasi dan terima kasih yang sebesar-besarnya. To conclude this session, we express our deepest appreciation and gratitude. Dr. Zamzagul, thank you for your time, knowledge, and the experience you have shared today with us. We feel truly honored.
Just one more. I want to suggest that maybe starting next academic year, maybe once in a quarter, maybe in 3 months, maybe our students will meet in Zoom to communicate in English. I think that it will be useful, beneficial for your students because they have mutual interest because we are older than our students, but I think that teens, they can find something interesting to communicate about, yeah? So what about my recommendations? To have a Zoom session for just students, for students.
Yeah, there's no chaperone, like just the students?
Нет, okay, we can be there, but mostly students will speak with each other.
Oh, that's so
Oh yeah, I see. It's like a students discussion, right?
Yes, bridge
our
between
students, our
bridge
students.
between students of the universities, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
think
can be, ma'am. It can be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dr. Abdul can arrange
Thank
that.
you.
Okay, so one moment, please, Miss Haryani. I'm not just I'm not asking a question. I just wondering about in Kazakhstan still snowing or
No, in northern part, maybe because we have vast territories and we have different climate regions. In northern Kazakhstan, it can be snowing, and in southern Kazakhstan, it can be very hot, extremely hot. So you
I
need
see.
different weather conditions. In just Kazakhstan, it is usually sunny, but in Karaganda, where my mom lives, it's just 600 kilometers from here. It can be stormy, some different weather conditions.
Because Kazakhstan is so large, right? So large.
Yeah,
Yes.
Is it? Oh, okay. It's much different. In our country, we only have like rainy or hot, like really hot.
We have snows, we have snowstorms, and we have mountains and rivers, you have deserts, and we have lakes, and we have everything. So in our territory, and we have even canyons. So
okay. Okay,
So,
maybe we
yeah.
have come to our closing session. Yeah. Once again, we feel really honored, yeah, and thankful to learn directly from an expert like you. May this knowledge bring great benefits both to us in Indonesia and see you in Kazakhstan, maybe. Yeah. So, terima kasih juga kepada seluruh peserta atas perhatian dan partisipasi aktifnya. Thank you as well to all participants for your attention and active participation. I now return the floor to our MC for the closing session. Saya kembalikan kepada MC. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Oke, alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Seluruh rangkaian acara telah berjalan dengan lancar. Sebelum kita menutup kegiatan ini, marilah kita melakukan sesi foto bersama sebagai kenang-kenangan atas terselenggaranya kegiatan ini. Para seluruh peserta dimohon untuk mengaktifkan kamera dan menampilkan senyuman terbaiknya. Tim dokumentasi akan segera mengabadikan momen yang berharga ini. To all participants, we kindly ask you to turn on your cameras and show your best smile. Our documentation team will capture this precious moment shortly. Okay, Farel, ready? Oke, kita akan foto dalam hitungan 3 semuanya. Bagaimana? Oke, Farel sudah ready ya? Kita foto dalam hitungan 3 semuanya. 3, 2, 1. Oke, senyum. We will take the photo on the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. Oke. Baik, sebelum ditutup, saya ingin menyampaikan sebuah pantun lagi. Menyulam benang jadi selendang, dijahit rapi penuh warna. Ilmu dan makna telah datang, mari amalkan dalam karya nyata. Saya Muna Ramdania, selaku pembawa acara, mohon maaf apabila terdapat tutur kata yang kurang berkenan. Terima kasih atas partisipasi seluruh narasumber, moderator, panitia, dan peserta yang telah menyukseskan kegiatan kita kali ini. Especially to our distinguished speaker, Mrs. Kaskin Bayeva Zamzagul Zanaidarovna, PhD. We would like to express our deepest gratitude for your valuable insight and inspiring lecture. It has been a great honor to have you with us today. We surely hope to welcome you again in our future event. Okay, see you. Sampai jumpa di kegiatan berikutnya. Sekian dari saya. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Miss Zamzagul.
Thank you. If you don't mind,
Yes. I
so
will give you
I
a
will leave
certificate
you.
later.
Because my students are waiting for
Yes.
me. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you semuanya.
Ya, thank you semuanya.
Nah, ini kan jadi pengalaman baru bagi teman-teman berhadapan dengan orang asing, orang luar negeri.
Deg-degan Pak ngomong bahasa Inggrisnya, takut salah.
Nggak apa-apa, nggak apa-apa. Nggak apa-apa.
Tapi jujur, itu apa? Memnya ngeresponnya tuh baik banget sih.
Iya. Nggak apa-apa. Artinya kalau kita berbahasa kan itu tidak mesti sesuai dengan grammar ya. Yang penting inti komunikasinya sampai. Gitu kan ya, Bu Yani. Bu Rizky, makasih Bu Rizky, Bu Yani, Pak Roli, makasih Pak Kajur. Oke, teman-teman semuanya, makasih ya.
Iya, Pak.
Ya Bapak, terima kasih kembali.